hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to another week
Of Case Files with Kat.
and Ashley
We got it somewhere.
and our support kitty.
And then you got the support kitties.
Yes. Even though he should be with you because
It's okay. Am I going to need him? Oy.
I don't know. It's a disappearance.
Oh, well, okay.
Crazy
All
one,
right.
I thought.
Ooh, I might need to call him over. Oh, kitty. Oh, my goodness.
Anyhow.
How's your week been?
Pretty good, I guess.
All right.
You know?
I mean,
Listen,
This time
as I
last
told you,
week-
I have AC in my car, so nobody can tell me nothing anymore, okay?
the bar
wasn't
is
angry.
so low.
When I am hot in any format, like above 70, I can't take it. My nerves are low, my patience is low, my anger is high. But now that I'm just can go anywhere in the AC, I'm just I'm a whole new person.
I cannot imagine you going through menopause.
I'm probably just gonna.
You're like, that's it.
Just take me out, or I'll move to Antarctica or something.
You're gonna
I don't
have
know.
to move. You're gonna have to live in like Alaska, I think.
Yeah,
Where
probably.
it's just always cold.
Always dark, always cold.
There
I
you
love
go.
it. It's my perfect ideal. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
And then you get paid to live there, right?
And then you can get. Well, I mean, you can do your job from anywhere. So
Well, I mean, but don't they pay you to live in Alaska?
I don't know.
I think they do.
Someone fact
Maybe.
check that.
I don't know.
Let us know.
I don't know. I think they should, and I think I think they should implement that if they don't.
There
Anyways.
are very nice places in Alaska.
I know.
I don't think you need to get
talking shit
paid.
about
I
Alaska.
don't think you need to get paid to live there.
I very much would love to live there.
Not enough people live there is what you're saying. So they need people.
No, people don't need. I'm going there. People
Okay.
don't need to go there.
Stay away. Wait for Ashley to
Alaska's
get there.
terrible. I'm sorry, I lied. It's terrible, horrible. Don't go there. Anyway,
Yeah,
now that we have lost everyone, because
you are
talking
gonna be
about-
miserable.
There's so many serial killers that we've done from Alaska.
In Texas, yet here we are,
Well,
And
Texas
it's-
is its own
and it's
thing.
brutally hot right now.
I know.
Ugh.
My God, it was 108 on Sunday in the car. I thought I was going to murder somebody. Anyways,
I'm surprised you didn't. Okay, I don't want to do a story about you, Ashley. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do a story. Okay, what do you got for us?
okay. So I feel like it's been a while since I've done a disappearance. Maybe it was like, I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like it's been a while since
It's
I've done a disappearance.
Okay.
But this one happened in 2015.
Oh.
And there are still updates happening as recent as like 2 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
So 10 years later, people are still being arrested. Things are still being investigated.
Oh.
I find it really interesting because
So an investigation and arrests because they are convinced that there was a murder.
yes, but there were people that were convicted even though there was no body, no murder weapon, no crime scene. So to me, that's fascinating. They have so much other evidence like
What?
that couldn't be disputed. So that's why I say this case is a little bit interesting for it to be a disappearance. Technically,
Okay.
it can't be confirmed that she was murdered. Okay, so technically it's considered a disappearance, but we'll talk about it and you'll understand why they figure she was murdered.
Okay, interesting. Almost like kidnapping. Like she was kidnapped, and that's all we know. And she's missing.
She wasn't kidnapped. She was, you'll see.
Okay.
You'll see.
This is confused. How are people arrested when there's no crime scene, no body?
Well,
no
you'll
crime?
understand
Okay.
once we start talking.
I'm
But
ready. I'm fascinated.
I was just very glad that they arrested who they did without a body, because a lot of times they'll just give up or say no body, no crime, whatever.
100%.
And the investigators really stuck with this case.
Wow.
And her family really campaigned.
Okay, well, I'm sold. Let's
okay.
go.
Crystal Maria Rogers was 35 years old, and she was a mother of 5. At the time of her disappearance, she was living with her boyfriend, Brooks Howick, and they lived in Bardstown, Kentucky. Now, she officially was reported missing on July 5th of 2015. And I need to preface this by saying many of the articles refer to Brooks as her boyfriend, while others refer to her as her former boyfriend.
Oh.
And either way, they were living together when this happened. But I want to say I think the reason this happens is because there was talk that Crystal was making plans to leave. And it was even said that she was planning to move out the week this all happened. But Brooks was showing that he was trying and that he was going to take her on a romantic date, which comes into play later. And it made her think that he was like trying to rekindle it, trying to be better. And so I think that's why there's a conflicting thing in different articles. Some say that they were still together, some say former, but all that matters is they were together at some point and they were still living together at the time of her disappearance, and they have a child together, but I'll talk more about her children in a bit. Anyways, so Crystal's mother reported her missing when she had not heard from her since July 3rd. Brooks, the boyfriend of Crystal, was the last known person to have seen her, and when questioned, he stated, "She was on her phone playing games at her house when I went to sleep, and when I got up the next day, her car wasn't in the driveway." And that was his story, period, and that's it. She was playing games, I went to bed, I woke up, her car was gone. Didn't report her missing. He called a few people, you know, like, "Hey, have you seen her? Is she with you?" No one had seen her, and then he just didn't report it. So her mother became extremely worried after multiple attempts at trying to contact Crystal on July 3rd. On July 5th, Crystal's 2007 Chevrolet Impala was found parked with a flat tire by mile marker 14 of the Bluegrass Parkway. The keys were in the ignition. Her purse and cell phone were found inside. Now, when her mother found this out, she was immediately like on alert because Crystal never went anywhere without her children. So the fact that her car was found without her or her children and all of her stuff was still in it already made her mom super suspicious.
How was the seat? Was it close to the steering wheel or far away from the steering wheel?
It was close to the steering wheel, but we'll get to that too. Now, immediately, Sherry Ballard, which was Crystal's mother, she was very vocal about her suspicion that it was Brooks. She was like, "Brooks did it. I'm convinced." In an interview, Crystal's sister said that Brooks had not once offered to search or help or do anything for the family. He didn't even seem like he was upset. Now, on July 8th, Brooks was brought in by the Nelson County Sheriff's Office for questioning. Nick Hoek was...
5 days? Okay.
Now, Nick Hoek, which was Brooks' brother, happened to be a Bardstown police officer. I think we all know where this is going. He called mid-interview and told Brooks not to speak with the police any further, even though he himself was a police officer. He said, "Stop talking." Not suspicious by any fucking means. The next day, Nick was called to testify in front of a grand jury, which led police to suspect he also had involvement in the disappearance. It was at this time that Nick stopped communicating with the sheriff's office. He didn't do any interviews. He didn't want to talk about anything. He did say he would take a polygraph test after being interviewed by the Kentucky State Police. Now, he took this polygraph test on July 20th. This is, 15 days later. The examiner, now we know that polygraph tests can't be used in court, really. Right. However, the examiner expressed grave concerns about the results.
From Nick or from
Nick? Nick was the one that took it. He agreed to take it. And I've never heard in a story where the examiner was like, there are grave concerns about the results. He told the police chief of this, and on October 16th, 2015, Nick was fired from the police department and officially named a suspect in the case. So the police did fire him. They didn't suspend him, which is also unusual because in a lot of cases we see, they kind of back each other. Now at this point, you're probably thinking, well, this seems pretty cut and dry.
Yes.
These two brothers
killed
her.
What I was thinking.
End of story.
Grave concern.
Wrong. Because their grandmother also comes into the investigation. Right, the grandmother.
Grammy?
A white Buick became a very important piece of evidence when private investigators found that one was parked at the Hoek farm at the night that Crystal disappeared. Anna Whitesides, which was the grandmother, owned a white Buick, but sold it conveniently several weeks after Crystal disappeared.
Ooh, fight it.
Authorities issued a subpoena for the 82-year-old grandmother to testify in front of a grand jury. The subpoena stated that the car may have been used to dispose of the body, cleaned and sold in an attempt to prevent evidence from being discovered. Anna refused to testify. She would not go in front of the grand jury.
Granny.
Attorney Jason Floyd said her statement to the police and the car buyer's information was enough. A judge later ruled to keep all future proceedings involving her confidential. That's weird as fuck to me.
Why?
They didn't say it was confidential. They said anything else involving her had to be confidential. To me, that makes it sound like she made some kind of plea. Anyways,
okay.
I don't know for sure, but it just said...
Or that there could be a leak.
Maybe. It just said that a judge later ruled all future proceedings involving Ann Whitesides, which was the grandmother, was confidential. Interesting. On August 2, 2016, police searched the residence of Anna and Nick for DNA. They didn't find any at the time. Again, we're all probably thinking, seems pretty cut and dry. You've got these two brothers. You got the grandma. She might be covering for them. It's been 16 months since Crystal disappeared.
Wow.
But again, you're wrong. Because her 54-year-old father, Tommy, was shot and killed on the morning of November 19th, 2016. He had been hunting on his private property with his 12-year-old grandson, which was Crystal's oldest son, when he was shot in the chest. Police have cleared the grandson and also ruled out suicide, ruling Tommy's gun was never fired. They ruled it a murder, like he was murdered. His death is considered unsolved.
Oh my God.
But Sherry has always said it was because he was very close to finding out the answers in his daughter's disappearance case.
How does she know that?
Sherry, the mom?
Yeah,
because her and Tommy never gave up on Crystal. And so he was doing extensive research on Brooks's family, finding out information about Brooks' father.
He was asking questions.
Asking way too many questions. Getting way too close. Because it was said, it was rumored or said that Brooks' father was involved in drugs, big drug dealing a long time ago. This family is just crazy. Okay, they have money. They're wild.
They're wild.
I just mean
they're feral.
You got your 82-year-old grandma.
That's what I'm about. Yes,
helping you in a murder disappearance that you supposedly weren't involved in. Anyways, I'm sorry. So Tommy is now a little over a year later shot and killed while he's on his own private property.
His poor grandson. God.
His grandson was spared, so whoever was there, the investigators said it was just to kill Tommy. Now, these cases went cold somewhat for years. They were still investigating it, but they just didn't really... There was no body. There was no crime scene. They couldn't prove that Crystal was murdered. The only murder they could confirm was Tommy, but they didn't know who did it. They didn't have the weapon. All of the things, right? So they were trying to figure out... They had their suspicions, but they had to find evidence before they could just arrest the people that they thought were involved. So the FBI joined the investigation, and they began... Now, they joined in around 2020, so we're 5 years in. They start doing digs on the Brooks family properties in 2020, and then in 2021, they did a search in a place called Woodlawn Springs Subdivision. Brooks owned a construction company building homes. And so this second search was in 2021. And
don't tell me she's under a slab somewhere. In
this subdivision, he had built several homes shortly after Crystal disappeared. Now, the FBI chose not to disclose what they found at the location, but said this evidence was not Crystal remains. However, the evidence was strong enough to get the ball rolling on arresting those who were responsible. On August 27th, 2021, they announced that an item of interest had been recovered from the concrete at one of the homes. They never disclosed what that item of interest was. They just said it was enough to start the motion. They now had the proof they needed to start bringing the suspects in.
If I own the house, I would be like, lift it up off the ground. Do whatever you have to do. I don't know who would
I'm
pay for
pretty sure
that.
they obviously would have had to if they found it in concrete. I mean, they had to have torn it up, I would think.
But the house, if a house was sitting on it, maybe it was like not covered correctly and it was like part of the driveway or something. Like, I don't know.
The problem is Brooks owned multi-million dollars worth of properties, which we'll talk more about later because that comes into play. But it would be almost impossible for them to search to know where he
so somebody might have been like, well, I'm going to tear up this concrete and put in a bigger flower bed. And then they found something.
In 2023, Brooks was indicted for murder and evidence tampering. Along with Brooks was his associate, Joseph Lawson, which we haven't talked about yet, but he was charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. And then Joseph's father, Steve Lawson, was also arrested. So far in this murder disappearance, you've got Brooks, his brother Nick, their grandmother Anna, Joseph, and Steve. We're not even done. Those are just the 5 we've discussed so far involved. It was a whole family affair in making this poor girl disappear.
And we're only like 10 minutes into your story. Like, this is crazy.
On September 2023, Joseph, who was 31 years old at the time, was charged on conspiracy to commit murder and complicity in tampering with physical evidence. The indictment did not identify a victim of if it was Crystal or Tommy. However, the dates given for this suggest that it corresponded with Crystal's disappearance, and her relatives confirmed that they had been notified of the indictment before it was made public, and it all just lined up for his portion to be related to Crystal versus Tommy.
Wow.
So Brooks was arraigned in Nelson Circuit Court on October 5th, 2023 on a murder charge. Oof. And prosecutor Shane Young revealed investigators had recovered a gun sold by Brooks' brother Nick under an assumed name that could be a match for the murder of the killing of Tommy.
Oh.
So
put them all in jail.
In December of 2023, Steve Lawson, which was Joseph's father, was arrested and indicted on charges of conspiracy to commit murder.
Jesus.
So these people were all arrested in 2023. We're almost 10 years down the road. Okay. None of them were technically arrested for her disappearance. They're all being arrested for little things where they can hold them, like conspiracy to commit murder.
Well, dude, that's
tampering with evidence. Felony, well, yeah, right? but they're just trying to get these people arrested.
Let's get them off the streets. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
The trials included more than 50 witnesses, testimony about cell phone data, experts on policing, surveillance videos, recorded interrogations, and amount of other evidence. Crystal's older children also testified at the trial of Brooks. Ashley Miller, which is Crystal's oldest daughter, made an extremely powerful statement, and I would like to play that because I think it's more powerful if you hear it come from her.
Yeah,
and I think it's very obvious that they all feel like he murdered their mother, even though that technically wasn't confirmed at this time.
Okay.
But I'm going to play that.
And how old is she at this time?
She is, I don't know her exact age, but she was an adult and she had children of her own at this point. So I'm going to say probably at least in her 30s because she had like 2 or 3 children at this time.
Okay.
So I'm going to play the video.
Brooks, you took my mother's life and tried to erase her from existence. For 10 years, I've lived with pain and anger and emptiness. You thought you could silence her, but you can't. You never will be able to. You try to destroy Mom. You can never destroy her. Mom wasn't an ordinary person. She was remarkable and still is remarkable. She was a strong, independent woman who worked tirelessly to make ends meet for them kids. And for me, she never complained. She always made it work. She was devoted to her family in every way that went beyond words. She stood by you when you didn't deserve it because she believed in love and family, giving people chances. She gave you loyalty and trust that should have been returned with respect, care, and kindness. Instead, you repaid her love with betrayal, violence, and cruelty. Because of you and your family choices, we lost her. Her laughter, her hugs, her guidance, and her presence at every milestone. You stole birthdays and holidays and countless small everyday moments that made life beautiful. She missed out on Eli. Eli adored her. Through me and through my kids, her spirit will live, and through my brothers and sisters as well. She continues to guide us, teach us, and remind us of what it means to love fully and fiercely. Your action left scars that will never fully heal. You took from us the person we loved the most and created a hole in our hearts that nothing can fill. 10 years have not dulled the pain and the anger. I hope you get life without parole. I hope that you slowly rot away in prison, because that is the only measure of justice left for your life that you stole. No punishment can bring her back, but it can ensure you never hurt anyone the way you hurt my mom.
Yes,
That
Queen.
was in September 17th, 2025 at his
Wow.
trial. So at this point of the trials, like, they were arrested in 2023.
Yeah.
His trial was in 2025. He hadn't been convicted yet, but, you know, as stated, she and all of her siblings and pretty much everyone.
Were they at the trial?
Oh, every day.
Mhm. Wow.
Fully believed that he was responsible. Now, in May,
I think everyone listening fully believes that he was responsible.
and when we start talking more about the details, it's like,
Oh,
what the
God.
fuck?
All right.
In May 2025, Steve was convicted and sentenced to 17 years in prison. Now, Steve was just
the accomplice.
Father. He was
yeah,
just
that's
the
right.
father
wow.
of Joseph. And in July 2025, Brooks was found guilty of Crystal's murder. He was sentenced to life in prison in that September trial. And then Joseph, who was the person that helped tamper with evidence, was sentenced to 25 years in prison.
Now, what about Nick?
Nick was not convicted.
What?
He wasn't even arrested yet.
What?
In October 2025, retired detective John Snow,
I mean, with that name,
love his
come
name.
on.
with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, did an interview, and he originally led the investigation in 2015.
Oh, okay. And he was still on it?
He investigated. No, he was retired at the time of this interview, but he was on the case for 5 years, the first 5 years of the investigation. And he said much of the early evidence that his team collected set the foundation to indict Brooks, Joseph, and Steve. In the interview, he stated, "This case represents in all genuineness, even though I stopped working at 5 years in, it represents 10 years of occupying my brain.
Wow.
This is probably a once in 100-year case. Most detectives will never see a case this complicated, and thankfully so, they don't want to."
Yeah.
He said they spent thousands of hours investigating the case, interviewed hundreds of people, and conducted numerous searches of the Howick family property. So that would be the grandmother, Nick's, Brooks, his mother.
So did the grandmother get indicted?
No. Well, we're still not done of people.
Okay. Oh, I want to know. I want justice. Justice.
So he interviewed Brooks just days after Crystal went missing.
Okay.
He said, "Brooks spent a considerable amount of time writing out his written statement, which I requested him to do. It was very vacant of any specific details of what he had done that day. It was very vacant of any specific details of what he had done that day that Crystal went missing, which was a red flag."
Oh.
So, like, he was just like, "Oh,
what did I do?"
He was like, "I think I was working." So he told investigators,
you can't think that
day that she went missing, the July 3rd, when she was supposedly on her phone. During that day, he told investigators that he was working and he was visiting these business people and this and that. Those business people later would say our offices were closed for the July 4th holiday. And his vehicle was seen all day at the farm, the family farm.
Oh.
And then we'll talk a little bit more about what Crystal had told her friends was supposed to happen that day, which also doesn't align with what he said. Okay. So the fact that he had very vague, vacant details after
and lies.
He took forever to write this statement.
That was not detailed.
That
he
was
took
not
he
detailed.
took 3 hours to write.
I don't know exactly how long,
was
but it
at
was a
the-
very long, like he really thought about what he was, it wasn't like he was remembering it. It was like, he was like, oh,
Oh, I
need
better
to think
say
about
something.
this.
Yeah. Oh.
And so John asked Brooks about a 13-second phone call that happened around midnight, the last day that Crystal was seen alive. As Brooks, so he said, I don't know whose number that is. And so basically was like, well, then call it. So as Brooks was like, okay, I'll call it right now. We'll see. Yeah, his number is right. So as Brooks calls the unknown number in the interview room on video, John learned it was Steve Lawson's number, the father of Joseph. John believes that this interaction between the two men of the interview was 100% staged. He acted like he didn't know whose phone number it was that called him at midnight until he called and it was Steve Lawson that answered. Basically saying it appeared very staged, like, oh yeah, I don't know who that is. And like Steve was expecting his phone call, like they had already arranged it. Like he said it seemed very odd. He said the phone call seemed very odd to be like, oh, I don't know who it is. And then he was like, yeah, I'll call it during this police interview. And then it just happens to be Steve Lawson who was involved, who was another suspect. Anyways.
And how is Nick not arrested at this point?
That wasn't Nick.
Oh my God. I know, but still, like he's telling him what to do. Okay, go.
Nick was not involved in this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but the second phone call he makes is to Nick. There was a second phone call in their interview room on July 8th, 2015. Now, this phone call was between Brooks and Nick. John did tell interviewers that he thought this phone call was more genuine. Like, it was not staged. He doesn't think he don't think you're. I know. He doesn't think that this phone call was staged like the one with him and Steve. He said that during the phone call, he said, I think he was genuinely concerned because Brooks had been there way too long. When he hung up, he said Nick was worried that you're going to screw us. He didn't say screw me. He said screw us.
Interesting.
Nick was still not arrested. John
he actually said that on the phone?
Yeah, he said, I'm worried they're going to screw us. So,
oh, God. Okay.
John went on to say that even though they were searching the family's properties, it is completely possible with enough forensic knowledge, such as a police officer. He didn't say that. I'm just adding that part.
Yes.
And enough time, because again, we're like 10 years down the road.
Right.
It was enough time to completely dispose of physical evidence.
I mean.
He says, we believe that they were planning the murder out for 2 weeks in advance. So this wasn't like a spur of the moment. And
crime of passion.
They're convinced that she's murdered, even though there's no body, no weapon.
Well,
they are 1,000% convinced that she was.
She wouldn't have just left her kids.
She wouldn't have left her kids. She wouldn't have said. She wouldn't have just left her parents.
I mean, right.
She was a very responsible person, and it was just, why would she leave her phone and everything in the car? Anyways. He also mentioned, I think there's more to this story. I think the alleged murder plot involved other family members.
Yes.
So just to recap,
Anna.
Brooks, Nick, Anna, Joseph, and Steve is where we're at right now.
Uh-huh.
In July of 2025, hundreds of pages of documents had been unsealed in Crystal's case. So up until July of 2025, a lot of the documents, a lot of the court records had been sealed.
Oh my gosh.
In these documents, it states
that now we're 10 years past.
We're 10 years past. In these documents, it states that prosecutors believe Brooks didn't want to pay child support and didn't want to share custody of their son Eli with Crystal, and had expressed this to others. Again, I want to note this man was not a poor man. He had money. He had millions of dollars worth of assets and properties. He had the money.
Greed.
He just didn't want to pay it.
Greed.
In his like prison phone calls, he's begging, like, he's talking to like his mom or other people, talking about they need to sell his assets or transfer his assets so that the remaining children of Crystal's don't get any retribution or anything, you know?
Oh,
So
what a
that's
dick.
a big deal that's been going on separate from this. But anyways,
okay.
it is said that he didn't want to share custody. He didn't want her to have him at all, and he did not want to pay child support, and he knew she was leaving, which
did that come out in the prison phone calls?
yeah, well, I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
So it went on to say that he had custody of Eli prior to his arrest after Crystal's disappearance and prevented Eli from spending any time with Crystal's mother. The documents also name, okay, here we go. Here's the other family member. The documents also name Brooks's mother, Rosemary.
Jesus.
Rosemary and Nick were both listed. Something else that was not revealed during the trials but was released in the documents is that Rosemary's cell phone showed no activity between June 16th and August 4th, 2015. They suggested that this meant Rosemary was using a temporary or different phone during this period leading up to and in the following weeks of Crystal's disappearance.
Come on, lady. Gross.
It gets so much worse for Miss Rosemary.
Oh, no.
Prosecutors gave this account of the events, basically. So according to friends of Crystal's, Brooks was supposed to take her to his family's farm for a special date on July 3rd, where his vehicle was all day long, and then they went home and she was on her phone or whatever. He acknowledged he was with her from 7 p.m. until midnight. Prosecutors said that Brooks' version of events given to the police for what he did that day was 100% a lie. While he said he'd been driving around doing business on July 3rd, he was actually at the farm all day. His truck was there all day long. After Crystal disappeared, Brooks didn't answer multiple texts or phone calls from her family members and did not answer a call, but he did answer a call from his own mother. Now, Brooks, of course, told police that Crystal had stayed up playing on her phone when he went to bed. However, records show that her phone battery died at 9:23 p.m. that night, and there was no way she could have been playing it, and it died while they were at the farm. So not only were they not home, not only could she not be on her phone, but her phone died at 9:23 p.m. exactly at the family farm. Nick.
So there's there's no movement. It's turned off if it's dead.
Completely dead.
Okay.
Now, so Rosemary's using a different phone. Her phone's off. Crystal's phone is dead. Nick had also turned his phone off between 11 p.m. on July 2nd and the middle of the afternoon of July 4th. So July 3rd,
whole day.
3 days. July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So his phone was completely off the day she disappeared. And in this time, I mean, even for it to be 2015, who the fuck or whatever, who turns their phone off for days at a time when you're a police officer, first of all, and you're a mother to children? I mean, there's just none of this makes sense why any of these people would turn their phones off.
It makes no sense.
So he was supposed to be helping his wife move on July 3rd, but he told her he was going to help his brother with something instead, leaving his wife to move on her own. She called Nick 15 times over a 24-hour period, to which he never answered. His phone was off. His phone came back on at 1:47 p.m. on July 4th. Now, while he told
Happy 4th of July, honey.
While he told his wife he was helping Brooks, Crystal's friends testified she had told them Brooks was taking her on a kid-free romantic date. Now, the defense argued that Nick had turned his phone off because he claimed he had been fighting with his wife and didn't want to speak to her. After Crystal disappeared...
Who the fuck are these people?
I don't know, man.
I mean...
This whole family. The only reason the father wasn't involved is because he was involved in drug dealing or some shit in the years past, and like I don't remember.
He's like, well, I'm gonna keep my nose clean. Y'all go ahead.
I think he was dead. I don't remember honestly. Okay. I didn't research a lot on the father because he played no part in this. Okay. There are some theories that this all traces way back to the father somehow, but I didn't understand it. I think that was just a wild conspiracy going on. Anyways, father wasn't involved in this. It was Rosemary the mother, Anna the grandmother, Brooks, and Nick.
Is Anna her mother?
No. Oh, Anna, yes.
Is Rosemary's mother?
Anna is Rosemary's mother. Oh, so you got Anna, Rosemary, Brooks, Nick, Steve, Joseph. That's where we're at right now.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so after Crystal disappeared, police searched Nick's cruiser again. He was working for the police department at the time all of this happened. A blanket was found in the trunk and an audio accidentally recorded by Brooks of him and Rosemary talking about the search.
Get out.
On this audio that was accidentally recorded somehow, she was worried and asked Brooke, "What about the blanket?" Nick refused to answer any questions in front of the grand jury and wouldn't answer any questions about the blanket. Now, the blanket in question, and I'm quoting the medical forensics person here, lit up like, how do you say this word? Oh my God, that radioactive plant. How do you say it? Oh my God, stop looking at me like that.
The radioactive plant? Nope.
Oh my
How do you
God,
spell
guys,
it?
I'm so sorry.
Was it there? Do you have it written? The radioactive plant.
Yes, this one.
Chernobyl.
Yeah, Chernobyl. I'm so sorry, guys.
Oh,
The blanket in question lit up like Chernobyl.
You were talking about a plant, and I'm like, a plant, like a tree.
Sorry.
The big
The blanket
explosion,
in
Chernobyl.
question
I'm so sorry.
lit up like Chernobyl with body fluids.
Ooh, gross. When it went under the black light.
Yeah. When questioned, Nick said he had no idea why that was on the blanket.
I got busy on the blanket. That's why, sir.
They didn't say if it was that or blood, or they just said body fluids of sorts.
I like to pee on blankets, ma'am.
Weeks before Crystal disappeared, Rosemary, Brooks and Nick's mother. Okay, Rosemary, talked to a man named Danny Singleton. So now we have Danny in the mix.
Who is Danny Singleton?
He worked for her son. And she asked if he would find someone to get rid of Crystal. In addition, another witness testified to a grand jury that Rosemary seemed to take great pleasure in Crystal's disappearance and was overheard saying, now that she is gone, the child would be raised right, in reference to Eli, the child that Crystal and Brooks shared.
What a bitch.
We're not done. Danny was called to testify during the trials. Now, he testified that Rosemary approached him on a job site one day and said she wanted to find someone to help get rid of Crystal. He said he responded, if you have enough money, you can get it done by someone in Nelson County, but he did not offer to do it himself. Danny was charged with lying to the Nelson County grand jury in 2015 about where he was the night that Crystal disappeared. He told the grand jury he was in Louisville drinking with a friend. After being approached by the FBI following his grand jury testimony, Danny was asked whether Rosemary had any involvement in Crystal's disappearance or had made any threats against her. Danny said no, but then he admitted he lied to the grand jury about where he was that night. Danny told investigators that he was actually doing crack cocaine with a woman in his apartment and was scared he'd be charged for that.
So supposedly he was in a good time.
Supposedly he was in his apartment doing crack cocaine and not involved in this disappearance and murder of Crystal, which he knew about weeks before it happened.
So did he get the guy that he's like, I'm not going to do it, but I know somebody who will? Did he?
He told Rosemary that she could go find somebody in Nelson County if she had the money. Just basically saying if she had enough money, she would find somebody, but he wasn't going to personally do it.
He wasn't going to do it.
Supposedly, okay.
Okay.
So on the night that Crystal disappeared, this is how Joseph comes into play. On the night that Crystal disappeared, Joseph drove Crystal's car until it got a flat tire and then abandoned it where it was later found on the Bluegrass Parkway. Then he called his dad, Steve, to pick him up. And now this is where Steve comes into the whole tampering with evidence. On the stand, Steve admitted that he showed up, found Joseph next to Crystal's car, and helped him stage it. He moved the driver's seat forward to make it look like Crystal had been driving it herself, grabbed Joseph's baseball bat from the car, and drove off without questions. Steve's defense was, yeah, I helped hide the car, but I didn't know there was a murder. I thought it was stolen.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
Either way, you thought your son stole a car?
That's just a bunch of bullshit.
And had a bat with him and everything else?
That's what I'm saying. Oh, and then moved the seat forward. Like, come on. All right.
It was then stated that Rosemary had also made statements heard by witnesses that, and I am quoting here, she said Crystal should have disappeared long ago, and implied that the family preferred it that way. She was referring to Crystal's family. Or excuse me, she was referring... Okay, I fucked up. Let me start. She was saying that Crystal should have disappeared long ago, and implied the family preferred it that way. Not speaking about Crystal's family, but speaking about Brooks's family, because they wanted to raise Eli a certain way and didn't feel like she would be able to. Again, family affair. You got Anna, Rosemary, Brooks, Nick, and then you've got accomplices Steve, Joseph, Danny, and possibly someone else if she found somebody to take out Crystal. Anyways, so the investigators did later find that Buick that the grandmother sold and found a hair in the trunk that belonged to Crystal.
Bum, bum, bum.
She was still not arrested. Neither was Nick.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to throw things.
To this day, Crystal's remains have never been found, and the 3 men who were charged never gave a confession. They never provided a motive. Like, Brooks is not the one who said, I didn't want to pay child support, or I didn't want her to raise the kid, or she was leaving me. That was all based on Crystal's friends and other evidence, and other, like, text messages that were seen and stuff. But to this day, they all 3 say they're innocent. They didn't have anything to do with her murder or disappearance. Rosemary has never been charged. However, June 7th, 2026, Nick was arrested. Not for Crystal. Sherry spoke in an interview with the news that she got a call about Nick's arrest just 1 day before her birthday, and it was a call she'd been waiting on for years. She said, I'm like, I knew this was coming. I was waiting for it, but the minute they told me it happened, I was like, finally, oh my gosh, yes, it was a relief. It's the best birthday gift I could have ever got, was for him to be arrested. And I'm hoping this is going to lead to bigger things. Now, investigators did suspect that Nick was involved in not just Crystal's disappearance, but that he was actually the one that murdered Tommy. However,
100%.
However, his arrest has not officially been tied to either one. His arrest and indictment was for perjury, alleging that he made false statements to officials between July 15th, 2015 and April 16th, 2023. As of July 2nd, Nick's felony trial has been set for this year, November 9th, 2026. So he's going to go to trial in November.
Watch party.
In addition to Brooks' family members that were his family members' involvement, his long-term new girlfriend, who started dating after Crystal's disappearance, who's also named Crystal.
Shut up.
Has stood by Brooks this entire time. She was arrested in 2017 and charged for theft after stealing signs in support of Crystal Rogers' family in Bardstown, Kentucky. She pled guilty, and her only sentence, though, was to write a letter of apology to Sherry, which was Crystal's mother. So they're all pieces of shit. I also think it's weird he's dating another woman named Crystal, who was with him for murdering and killing and disappearing
a woman named Crystal.
Well, I mean, a woman in general, but also a woman named Crystal. Anyways, while this whole situation is clearly a fucked up tragedy, there was a small bit of positivity. On July 14th, 2026, so just a few days ago. A new Kentucky law named after Crystal Rogers went into effect. House Bill 305, also known as the Crystal Rogers Act, changes the statute of limitations for recording or sharing information on a grand jury proceeding. Brooks and several family members secretly recorded grand jury testimony in 2023. The recordings were discovered 1 year after, or was discovered right after the 1 year window closed for being able to charge them. So with this law, the statute of limitations has been extended to 10 years to prosecute people who knowingly record or share information from grand jury proceedings. The new law also extends the statute of limitations for misdemeanor violations of sharing information on a grand jury proceeding to 5 years. There's so much about this case that it was really hard to condense it down. So there's several things that I recommend if you're interested in this case, or the background information on Brooks's family or the trials. Oxygen had an episode. It's season 1, episode 1, literally the first episode, and it's called The Vanishing Point. They also have a 27 video series on YouTube with extra clips and interviews.
Is The Vanishing Point the series? That's what it's called?
No, season 1, episode 1. The title is The Vanishing Point.
Oh, what's the show? You don't know, but it's on Oxygen.
I have it linked.
Okay. I feel like I saw like one of the first datelines of it.
I will look it up here in just a second. I thought I had it in the notes. But anyways, it's called The Vanishing Point. They also have on the Oxygen YouTube channel itself, if you look up from Bardstown to Bowling Green, excuse me. Oh my gosh, I am jumping the fuck around.
You'll get it. It's all right.
Okay. They have a 27th video series on YouTube with extra clips and interviews. You just look up the disappearance of Crystal Rogers, Oxygen, and it will come up. Now, those are all just like extra interviews. Those aren't like details about the background and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Now, there is a podcast from Sherry McAllister, and now that one is the one from Bardstown to Bowling Green. And that is her podcast covering the Crystal Rogers trials. So it's a 10-episode podcast series, covers the trials of all 3 men involved. She was in the courtroom every day. Wow. She was in all of their trials. She was there. She did interviews. She took notes. She like does a very thorough job of going through the steps of the trials. And I highly recommend it. So it's Shay McAllister from Bardstown to Bowling Green, covering the Crystal Rogers trials. Now, Sherry and Tommy, the parents to Crystal, they very much cared for their daughter. They never gave up. They organized volunteer searches. They put up billboards. They kept going on the news. Sherry would testify in court. She was at every single trial. Crystal Rogers was a woman who had her whole life. She had 5 kids. She was only 35. And she was murdered because a man didn't want to pay child support. And because she wanted to leave, which, as we know, is often the most dangerous time for a domestic violence situation for males or females to leave. It's the most dangerous time. And he knew that he was losing control of her. Let's not forget her name. Her children, they grew up without their mother, but they all turned out great. They all have most of them have their own kids now. As you heard Ashley, she testified in court. So a court awarded permanent custody of Crystal and Brooks' son, Eli, to Brooks' sister, Rhonda. Now, she had had temporary custody of the child since 2023, but Brooks signed an agreement not to protest the custody transfer after his conviction. Sherry was awarded at the time of everything happening. Sherry was awarded custody of Crystal's other 4 children. They all had the same father. That was from a previous relationship that Sherry had been in. And then she had Eli, which was with Brooks, which is why Brooks' sister got Eli.
Does she have visitation with Eli? Does she get to see Eli? Do they know Eli? Does Eli know them?
I think they know, but I don't think it's like you know what I mean? I don't think it's like they get to see him. So that thing I was talking about, the Oxygen, the title is just The Disappearance of Crystal Rogers, and it's season 1, episode 1. So it's like a mini series, but it's on Oxygen. And it talks about the days leading up to her disappearance. It talks about the murder, the calculations that went into it, the searches, the trials, all that kind of stuff. It's really good. The podcast from Sherry about the trials is really good. There is a $100,000 reward still out there for anyone who may know where Crystal's remains are. Because they've never to this day found her body. They've never found a murder weapon. They've never found the crime scene. They do know that the day that she disappeared, when they were at the farm all day, there was he told investigators they had a fire going, but they never found any like evidence of her in the fire. He lied pretty much the whole time. Again, so Now, I will say Danny, when he was arrested, he did end up taking a plea deal at some point for, he took a plea deal, and so his felonies got demoted down to a misdemeanor, and he was released from jail. So he only served like, I want to say 8 months in his sentence. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but again, he didn't really play a part in her disappearance, but he did know it was going to happen. He knew they were asking about it. They knew that. Yeah, they knew that he was.
That just seems like it's such a low. That seems like nothing. I guess seems like nothing.
They think that he took a plea deal to basically. The other side argued that he was promised things for saying that Rosemary talked to him, and that that's why he took a plea deal and stuff. But
they didn't arrest Rosemary.
More than one person has said Rosemary said these things out loud, so they don't think he was lying. They don't know what the plea deal was. But anyways, he took it. He was out of jail. Joseph, Steve, and Brooks are all still in jail. Nick is arrested. His trial is November 9th. Rosemary and Anna.
We're having a watch party, dude.
Rosemary and Anna were never arrested. As far as I know, Rhonda, the sister that got custody of Eli, she was never mentioned in any of this chaos. So I don't know if maybe she was like the outcast who was like, I wanted nothing to do with this fucking people.
Yeah.
And that's why she got the child. Because she wasn't mentioned in any of the planning, the conspiracy.
I can't imagine she would have gotten custody had she been a part of that.
But there's a ton of news articles. There's several shows about it that are really good. The podcast, I list all of those in the show notes. And then I also link to the interview that Ashley gave at the court. I'm glad that they arrested these people.
100%.
Because again, without a body, without a crime scene, without a murder weapon, it's
amazing,
very unheard of. But
get life,
the text messages that were exchanged, because in some of the interviews, Jon Snow talks about some text messages that he saw between Brooks and Nick and some other people, and he said it's just very obvious these people were planning it. They knew what they were going to do. It wasn't a spur moment decision, a crime of passion. It was very well planned out. And because they own millions of property, millions of dollars of property and assets and stuff, who knows where they could have hidden stuff, especially because he owns a construction site. Who knows where he put things. And so anyways, that's the story of the disappearance and alleged murder of Crystal Rogers and the murder of her father, Tommy.
It's so sad that you have to say alleged. Ugh.
Well, Tommy was 100%.
We all know Jon Snow. I just want to say it. The grandmother, is she still alive? She'd be 92.
She would be over 92 now.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if she's still alive. The crazy part about this particular family is like, what was Crystal doing that was so bad? What was so wrong about how she was raising Eli?
Rosemary didn't like that Crystal had so many children, even though they were all from the same father, from a long-term relationship that she had been in. But she didn't like that Crystal had so many children. And that she just
How about staying the fuck out of your kids' adult relationship and not being a helicopter parent when they're adults? Your kids have to make mistakes. Let them make mistakes. Don't pour fuel on the fire.
And I was mistaken. Anna was their father's grandmother, not Rosemary's mother.
Anna's But I was like, that mother side is crazy.
Anna has not been arrested.
She's not going to be. She's old. They're not going to put a 92-year-old in jail.
I feel like the mother should have been arrested for sure.
Rosemary needs to go to fucking jail.
A hitman.
She needs to go to fucking jail. Yeah. For that alone.
Yeah.
For that alone. You cannot ask somebody to kill somebody and then like have that not be a crime. I guess it's only a crime if money's exchanged. I don't know. Like this person's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why she was never arrested, even though she was clearly plotting for the murder of this woman. But like you said, maybe it's because she didn't exchange money and nothing like. But yeah.
Oh, that was a good story. God, that was a good story. I feel, was Nick bald?
I don't know.
I feel like I saw this interview. I saw where Nick was being interviewed, or I guess it was when he called his brother. So it was Brooks bald, like when he called his brother and said, "Stop talking." And he's like, "Oh, I'm supposed to stop talking." And he kind of gets up and walks out. Like, I feel like I saw that interview. I don't know if it was on Dateline like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so Sherry was always in the news. She was keeping her daughter's story alive, keeping the name alive,
I mean,
keeping
this
the case.
must have been right after it happened.
And when Tommy got murdered, she was like even more about it because she knew it was a result of him getting too close to the case and asking the questions and figuring out what happened. Yeah.
Oh, I feel so sorry for Sherry. Well, thank you again. If anybody knows something, reach out to
the Kentucky Police Department, the FBI. There's a number of cases open.
Yeah. What's up, Kentucky? We know you know something. But yeah. All right. So until next week, see something.
Say something.
And please be kind. Please be kind. There's a shortage of that going on right now. But we'll see you next week. Bye.